Hello YouTube, hello world. This is Al coming to you once again for Kindred Souls of Brooklyn. I'd like to thank everybody for tuning into this video and also my channel. If you haven't already subscribed, please do. It's Kindred Souls of Brooklyn. Hit that subscribe button. And I love feedback. If you want to send me an email, I can be reached at connection@Kindred Souls of Brooklyn, or you can send me a little link at the bottom of this video or leave a comment. I would love to hear from you. So, for those of you who know me, who watch my videos, you know I'm a huge fan of this magical drink here, Coca-Cola. But I thought it'd be a really great idea to do a video of the comparison of Coca-Cola and Pepsi. Specifically, which one is really the healthier of the two. And surprisingly, the two drinks are very similar. And pretty much the only difference with Pepsi is that it's got a little bit of like orange juice in it, like a little citrus in it, and that's like really the only difference in the specific ingredients. But I thought it would be cool to go over the ingredients and the calories of each soda, just to talk about which one is the healthiest soda. I mean, obviously, if there's any kids out there watching, you know that soda is not the healthiest thing for you. In fact, there's really no nutritional value in soda whatsoever. Probably the only benefit of sodas like this is that they're filled with caffeine, and if you want to stay awake a little bit, or you're studying for something, or probably if you get headaches or migraines, it oftentimes can help you with headaches. I mean, I know for me, unfortunately, to say a little confession time, on a bad day, which is almost every day, I probably drink about 4 cans of Coke a day. Now, I will say I don't drink coffee, I don't drink tea, I don't drink whiskey, I don't drink beer, I don't drink any kind of hard liquor or soft liquor or beer. But drinking 4 of these every day is not really the best idea. But I guess there's worse things to do, especially since you've probably seen some of the videos where Coca-Cola can actually remove battery acid off a car battery, or it can take the paint off of like a stoop, something like that. But so if there's any kids watching, you're much better off just drinking water, or even fruit drinks are very, very unhealthy because they might be loaded with sugar too. And that's pretty much kind of the reason why I drink probably 4 of these a day. One of them is that to switch it to fruit drinks is a little crazy. But anyway, I just thought it would be fun to do this video, and I just wanted to put that little disclaimer out there if anyone was watching. So, Cola Wars. Everyone's heard about the Cola Wars. In fact, Billy Joel, the famous singer from our neck of the woods, from Long Island, where he lives right now, where he's the house band now at Madison Square Garden, plays a show about once a month. He wrote a song called Pressure back in the 80s. And one of the verses, one of the lines from that song is, "Rock and roll and Cola Wars, I can't take it anymore." Well, these two are kind of like, obviously, competitors. And there's a lot of situations in life where we have two rival companies. You could take Burger King and McDonald's, you could take Coke and Pepsi. There's probably a million examples out there. And I, for one, really think competition is good. It keeps you on your toes, and it keeps you tough, and it keeps you edgy, and you're always looking out for the next best thing. And if you're a business person looking at a business model, these are two magnificent companies to look at because they've done wonders. I mean, people who invested in Coke when it first started back in like the 1890s, a lot of those families went on to be multimillionaires. In fact, Coca-Cola was invented in Atlanta. I don't know if you knew that or not. And Pepsi was invented in North Carolina. So both of these drinks kind of came post-Civil War, when the South was pretty much being transformed. I mean, you look at the city of Atlanta, it was basically just like, it was the capital of the South, but there was just a lot of farms there. There wasn't a lot of really big industry. But after the Civil War, it was transformed. And one of the things that came out of that was the invention of Coca-Cola. Now, Coca-Cola was invented back in 1893, or rather 1886, and it was invented by a guy named John Pemberton, who was a pharmacist. And the interesting thing about John Pemberton, and speaking about the Civil War, is that he was in the Civil War, he was wounded in the Civil War, and like many people back in that period, he got addicted to morphine. So, because he was a pharmacist and all that, he could always get as much morphine as he wanted, especially back in those days. There were no checks and balances, or there was no governmental intervention at that point. But so the original Coca-Cola that he invented, the original formula, which he called Formula 7X, actually contained cocaine, bits of cocaine. And it wasn't until about 1903 that Coca-Cola took it out of the product. So it was a real, you could say it was an addictive drink. He actually died a few years after inventing Coca-Cola. And talking about the Pepsi wars and the Coca-Cola wars, that was one of the edges that Pepsi had on Coke early on, was that it was considered like the clean drink, because when they passed the Pure Food and Drug Act back in 1906, Coca-Cola had just taken cocaine out of its drink, and they probably had some forewarning of that, because these companies are so powerful, they kind of was able to kind of know what was going on in the government. And not to be too much historical on this video, if you ever want to read up on that or do some research on it, you'd be amazed at how political things were between these two companies, and still up to this day, how certain companies go into a country and have exclusive rights, and what executive knows what president or what congressman, and different things are passed. So it's very fascinating. But going back to the actual origins of these sodas, and North Carolina was where this was made back in 1898, and that was made also by a pharmacist, and his name was Caleb Bradham. So very similar beginnings for these two companies. And just going over the two drinks right now, Coca-Cola is like the mythical drink. It's the drink that, look at this bottle, this is an old-fashioned Coca-Cola bottle, and pretty much Coca-Cola is the most recognized product in the entire world. And Coca-Cola's advertising was second to none. They really had a big advantage over Pepsi. In fact, Coca-Cola reinvented Santa Claus. You know, the Santa Claus that we know of today, the fat, jolly, elf type of guy with the rosy cheeks and the red suit and always happy and cheery and being married to Mrs. Claus, that was invented by an artist called Sunblom, who worked for Coca-Cola. And also, if you're familiar with Norman Rockwell, he worked for Coca-Cola also. So Coca-Cola has always had the edge on Pepsi, especially in the early days when it came to the money and the advertising, because Coke always portrayed America as a very viable and very positive place, and nothing ever really wrong kind of thing. In fact, World War II, Coca-Cola, they had made a thing where they said they want to put a Coca-Cola in the hand of every GI. And there was multiple photos of Coca-Cola being drank by the GIs overseas in Europe and over in Japan, places like that, on the aircraft carriers and the ships. So Coca-Cola, very iconic. Also, they have the advertising of the Christmas Cokes, which Pepsi has tried along the way, but hasn't been as successful for them. Unfortunately, talking about Coca-Cola and Santa Claus, because the world being what it is, they've gone away from the Santa Claus a lot. So now you're seeing more of the polar bear Cokes the last 5 or 6 years. And my son bought me this cooler for Father's Day. It's got the polar bear on the front. I put my Coca-Colas in here as kind of a backup. And it's really cool. Pepsi's got some great products too. Now, of course, the colors are synonymous too with the brands. You have white and red is the Coca-Cola colors, and blue and white are the Pepsi colors. Of course, not by accident. These are very patriotic colors. Think about the American flag, and you'll realize why these companies have the colors that they do. They're very smart. They've got a lot of people working for them, and it is what it is, folks. But let's go back to the healthiness of these two sodas. And once again, they're not that healthy for you to drink. But let's see, out of the two sodas, Coke and Pepsi, which one is actually worse for you. Now, when it comes to calories, Coca-Cola weighs in at 140 calories for 12 ounces. Pepsi weighs in at 150 calories. Now, in terms of total fat, both of them have 0% fat in them. Sodium, on the sodium scale, Pepsi actually has less sodium with 30 milligrams. So those of us who like salt, I mean, I'm a big salt person. Thank heaven I don't have high blood pressure. It's a miracle. But I like my French fries and burgers and all that kind of stuff. So Coca-Cola definitely has more salt in it. So if you like salt and you like Coke, that might be one of the reasons. As far as the carbohydrates go, Pepsi has a lot more carbohydrates. Not a lot more. They've got 41 grams. versus Coca-Cola's 39 grams. And for the last ingredient, protein, which neither one of them has, is 0% protein in either one of these. So as I say, they're not healthy drinks, but as we're talking, which is the healthier drink of the two, we're going to have to go with Coca-Cola because of the sheer amount of less calories. You figure 10 calories a day. In my case, drinking 4 of these a day, it's 40 less calories a day, multiplied by 7 days. It's 280 calories over the week, over the year. So you can figure out the math. So we have to assume that Coca-Cola is the healthier drink. But there's been a lot of distinctions between the two brands over the years. Each one has gone up and down. Now, it's funny because Coca-Cola, both of these sodas own lots of brands. So the way to tell what they own is go to a soda machine. And if you go to a Coca-Cola machine, obviously you're not going to see Pepsi Cola in that soda machine. But in that Coca-Cola machine, you're going to see the brands that Coca-Cola owns. For instance, obviously Coca-Cola, and you're going to see Coke Zero. You're going to see Sprite. You'll see Dasani Water. You'll see Fanta. These are just some of the brands that Coca-Cola owns. Whereas Pepsi, you're going to see things like, even in the supermarket when you go, and you'll see things what's on sale. You know, you'll see Pepsi, and you'll be able to get Brisk, because Pepsi owns Brisk. And I'm trying to think of some other brands that Pepsi owns. You can see that I'm a Coca-Cola guy, so I'm more familiar with the Coca-Cola side of it. But I'd love to hear from you guys. What are your favorite drinks? What do you think is better for whatever reason? I mean, let's face it, folks. The reason why I drink soda, why probably a lot of people drink soda, it tastes good, it feels good. I mean, think about it. Eating Italian food, spaghetti and meatballs, or a pizza, it's very hard to think not to drink Coca-Cola with that. It just goes with it, like pork and beans, or chicken and fries, or something like that. It's just a natural. But the reality is, if you think about these sodas and why we drink them, it's essentially because, think about where we are when we drink them. We tend to drink them at the movies. We drink them at baseball games. We drink them at night when we're sitting home eating dinner, when we're watching TV. So they're basically feel-good drinks. And we associate being, we want to feel good, and we associate with that with these sodas. And that's probably why we drink them. Unfortunately, if we get diabetes or we get really sick, that's probably one of the reasons too for it. But in life, I guess you have to choose your battles. But as I say, there's a lot of research that you could do on these two companies, and it's really amazing. Now, I worked for Disney for 7 years. It's really funny. One of the most common questions I got asked, whether I was working on the monorail or whether I was working in guest relations or I was working at security, people would come up to me and they'd say, "How come I can't get a Pepsi? Where do I go to get a Pepsi?" And I would just kind of tell them, well, this is Coca-Cola's got a special deal with Disney, and if you want to buy a Pepsi at Disney, you really can't. It doesn't exist. So you pretty much have to go off property to go to Walmart. So Disney has 47 square miles. So just to show you how powerful of a deal that is, you can't get a Pepsi product within that 47 square miles. And that's pretty much how it is. And also, it goes that way by orange juice. If you want to get Tropicana orange juice in Disney, you can't get it because Coca-Cola owns Minute Maid. So the orange juice that you're going to get is going to be Minute Maid. The water you're going to get is going to be Dasani. And that's just it. But of the two companies, Coca-Cola has pretty much stuck with the soda itself. They both employ about 100,000 employees, and Pepsi, though, for instance, they've diversified a lot more. They've had to, because they've always been kind of running second to Coca-Cola, and Pepsi was smart. They bought into Taco Bell, they bought into KFC, Long John Silver. Those are all owned by Pepsi. Frito-Lay's is owned by Pepsi, and I guess that's another way you could really tell which company owns what, because obviously when you go into KFC, you're going to find Pepsi. When you go into a Long John Silver's, you're going to find Pepsi. So that's another way of how you could tell. But folks, I really hope you enjoyed this video. I want to please give me your feedback. Let me know what you think. If you have any more ideas for videos, I think this is really a cool idea. I'm going to do more of these product comparisons, And of course I have a Brooklyn channel, but Brooklyn loves its Coke, loves its Pepsi. So, you know, Coca-Cola is bottled all over the world and canned and stuff, so it's fantastic. So once again, I hope you enjoyed this video. Please give me a shout out. Subscribe to my channel if you haven't done so already. Please drop me a line. And I really want to know, what is your favorite drink? What drink do you associate with? Now I know a lot of people who are big Michael Jackson fans who love Pepsi, because back in the day when Michael was doing commercials for Pepsi, he was a Pepsi fan. And you know, the same thing goes for Coke. So let me know your thoughts, let me know your feelings, and let me know your funny stories. Just to give you a quick funny story for me, how much I love Coca-Cola, that if I go to the food court in, say, Staten Island Mall, and my wife feels like getting Taco Bell, she'll get Taco Bell and I'll tell her what I want. What I'll do is I'll walk over to Burger King and I'll get my Coca-Cola from Burger King. So that's kind of it. I mean, I guess maybe somebody should open up a clinic for soda addiction. I don't know. Maybe that's probably what it is. But anyway, it's a lot of fun, and I enjoy drinking it. And I'm sure you do too, because these are multi-billion-dollar companies. So someone's out there drinking Coke. So folks, I hope you have a great day. Thank you for tuning in. Please give me your feedback. And this is Al signing off from the garden spot of the world, Brooklyn, New York. And before I go, have a Coke and a smile. Makes you feel good. All right, folks. Al signing off. Have a great day. Bye-bye now.